What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into All Things Mavs, the live show today on Friday afternoon. Appreciate all you guys that are tuning in with me right now. You know what? Hey, we've already got 56 people watching on this live stream, and I cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in. As you can tell, obviously still the FaceTime camera on my computer right now, but eventually I'm going to have my nice camera all set up, ready to go. And we're going to talk a little bit today about Bradley Beal and Victor Oladipo. We're going to talk about which one makes a little bit more sense. I saw some people talking about both of them as trade targets for the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks and Utah Jazz game and give you some updates on Donovan Mitchell, Derek Favors, and my predictions for that game. And then, of course, we're going to do some Q&A as well because I know you guys probably have a ton of Mavs-related questions. But before we start getting into that, I'm going to let the audience kind of build up here for just a little bit. So I'm going to give some shout-outs. And while I give my shout-outs, I want you guys to let me know where you're watching from. So people I see in the chat already, I see Billy O'Neill, I see Funky Frog Studios, Mohamed, Dallas Mavs, Kevin Jose, Vanix2G, Colin Schultz. Colin, my guy. Hey, every time I post a video, I can always count on Colin to just type Jimmy. And I always respond with Colin. So Colin, appreciate you tuning in. Angel, I see you in there. 350ZZ, DeAndre Taylor. I see Agent Tiger, Devin Collins. I see Zishan, Reyes, Luis, Tony, Ralph, Carson, Nupaco, Lucky Masks, Kevin Jose, watching from Garland, Edgar Jimma from Ireland, Kristaps from Latvia, appreciate you, and then Igor watching from England. Also, chess expert Cheney says from Los Angeles, California. Hey, I've been kind of getting into chess lately, so maybe you and I could play a little bit of chess later. Anyway, so before I kind of get into my talk a little bit, I want to talk about something because my channel just got monetized here on YouTube, which honestly is a huge deal for me because I'm able to make money now, literally just talking about the Dallas Mavericks and hopefully entertaining you guys on a regular basis. But that also means you guys can send me super chats. And so if you see down in the chat, you can see a little gray square that has a dollar sign. You can send me a super chat, send me literally anywhere from like $1 to I think the max is like 100. So if you guys are feeling generous, go ahead and do that. But here's what super chats will do for you guys today. So number one, super chats always go to the front of the chats. So I will always see your super chats if you send me a question, if you make a comment that you want me to read out loud, if you want a shout out, sending me a super chat is the easiest way for me to be able to see that, and I will immediately respond. But the other thing a super chat is going to do, now if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, you probably don't know this, but once I hit 3,000 subscribers, I'm giving away an All Things Mavs t-shirt. So looks, actually, you know what? I got one for you. Looks just like this. We got All Things Mavs on the front, and then you got the logo on the back. So when I get 3,000 subscribers, I'm going to give one of those away for free. But before that, or until then, whoever sends a super chat is automatically entered to win another one because I've got 3 of them here, at least. I've got a few more. So if you send a super chat, let's say you send a $1 super chat, that puts your name in, one chance to make it. If you send in $25 super chats, a $25 super chat, that means you have 25, entries to win. So that's super chats. You guys don't have to, but it would really be helpful if you did. So let's talk about the Mavs and the Jazz. We'll start off with that, and then we can maybe get into some questions and some Q&A. And if nobody sends a super chat, then, hey, no big deal. Anyway, let's talk Mavs and Jazz. Tip-off is at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time tonight, so way past when I would like it to tip off because it's going to be a super late game. But we just got news that Donovan Mitchell is not going to play again tonight. Now, obviously, in the last game, that did not matter one bit, and the Mavs were still able to really just get dominated by the Utah Jazz in that game. I'll go ahead and read you the stats one more time in case you missed it. 104-116, the Jazz won. The Mavs, really, it shouldn't have even been that close. The Mavs lost the entire first half. But Mitchell goes down, so Jordan Clarkson decides to step up, and he gets 31 points. Rudy Gobert had 29 and 20. Joe Ingles had 21 points and 8 assists. The Mavs got throttled. And you know what? It was super disappointing. Hey, Chad Stein with the first super chat of the day. Thank you so much, Chad. That gives you 5 entries to win the let me get it for you. That's 5 entries for Chad to win the All Things Mavs t-shirt, which I will announce next week. Andrew in here with another super chat. That's 1 entry for you, Andrew. So next week, I think I'll do probably on the next live stream, I'll announce it. Arvind sends a $2 super chat. That's 2 entries to win. Thank you so much, Arvind. I appreciate all you guys already sending the super chats. It's already 3. So go ahead and get your super chats in now. But anyway, back to the Jazz stuff. Listen, the keys to this game are going to be containing Rudy Gobert in the pick and roll. And that's a lot easier said than done, right? Because the guy's a monster. And so I don't know if that means maybe you start Willie Cauley-Stein. Maybe you give KP more minutes at the 4, move it over. I'm not really sure. It looked terrible. Maybe in this game it's, hey, let's put all of our effort on the wings on the defensive end. We'll go with lock down Joe Ingles, lock down Jordan Clarkson, lock down Mike Conley, and we'll just let Rudy Gobert get his. And if Rudy Gobert beats us, so be it. But you know what? I think I feel good about this game. I know I shouldn't because the Mavs haven't been playing well, but I think this is going to be a big bounce back game for Kristaps Porzingis, and I think one of Josh Richardson or Dorian Finney-Smith is really going to be able to turn it on in this game, and I think they'll be able to come out with a win on this one. I think they know they need it, and I think there's going to be a sense of urgency. Now, if there's not, then there's not, and that's kind of just is what it is, but it's frustrating right now. It's really, really frustrating, but we'll just have to see what happens. Also, shout out to TIMONB for the super chat. It says, greetings from Germany. Appreciate you. That's a German dollars, $4. So I'm not sure how much that is, but we'll make that a $4 entry for you right there. So appreciate you guys. So that's the Jazz game. Look, not really a lot's going to change for the Mavs. I think it'll be the same starting 5, and you just hope that Porzingis can do something against Gobert, but maybe, just maybe, they, move Cauley-Stein to the big, make him the 5. I'm not really sure. All right, now I know why most of you guys are here. Victor Oladipo and Bradley Beal. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Victor Oladipo, let's start with him. Just got traded to the Houston Rockets from the Indiana Pacers. And honestly, he's an all-star player, and he's still a great player. I still really would love Victor Oladipo to be a Dallas Maverick. I just don't know how realistic that is right now. Because I'm not sure that Houston is going to say, oh, we would just love to trade Victor Oladipo to Dallas, to a conference rival, to a division rival at that, where they have to play them 4 times. I just cannot see any scenario in which Houston trades Victor Oladipo to Dallas. I don't think the Mavs even really have the pieces to do it. I think maybe they would if it was Indiana calling, because maybe they could have combined Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and something like that. But I don't think Houston's going to do it at this point. Now, the other reason I don't think it's going to happen is because I think Dallas, or I don't think it should happen, is Victor Oladipo is going to be a free agent in this summer. And the problem is most people believe that he's headed to Miami. And if he's going to Miami, then do you really want to give up assets to get him in free agency? I say no. Now, maybe he says the only way I would do it, the only way I would give up assets like Maxey or Dorian or Jalen Brunson would be in the case that before the trade, Victor Oladipo agrees that, hey, I'm going to re-sign in free agency. And if he agrees to that and he says that before the trade happens, I say pull the trigger and start recruiting him now while you can. Now, I also want to give a quick shout out again to Tony. Tony sent in a $4.99 super chat. Says, hey, bro, been here since you were with Chat Sports. What would you trade for Bradley Beal? So that'll be the first question I start with because, hey, you get a super chat in, I'll answer your question right away. Also, Tony, make that $5. 5 entries. 5 entries to win an All Things Mavs t-shirt. So I appreciate you, Tony, for sending that in. So that's my thing with Victor Oladipo is that I'm not giving up assets to get him because he's going to be a free agent. I would love to chase him in free agency. Honestly, he's an ideal target for this Mavericks team. If he were on this team, I think a lot would look different. He's been a great shooter this year. He's a great finisher. He's a good passer. Not great passer, but he's a good passer. And he's a great defender on the wing. You put him instead of Tim Hardaway Jr. in that lineup with Luka, Oladipo, Richardson, Finney-Smith, and Porzingis. It's pretty darn good. So that's my take on Victor Oladipo. In conclusion, I'm not trading for him because I'm not giving up assets for a guy that's going to be a free agent unless I know that he's going to resign. And I just don't think that's the case. I think he's going to go to Miami, and I think that's what most of the NBA people are saying. So let's talk Bradley Beal. And here's the deal, guys. I tweeted out the meme of Patrick holding up $3 because that's really all the Mavs have to offer. I mean, if you really think about it, Bradley Beal is a 30-point-per-game scorer at this point. Now, obviously, they're kind of empty stats, right? I mean, not empty, but they are a little bit empty because they're not leading to wins for the Washington Wizards, but he's still an incredible player, and he's honestly just been out of this world and would be the ideal fit next to Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. I came up with my best trade scenario, the very best one. And you know what? I'm going to do a whole video on it about how the Mavs would trade for Bradley Beal instead of just doing it live. But I'll break it down for all my listeners that are tuned in early for this live show. The best offer I can come up with is Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, Josh Green, and your 2025 first-round pick. Now, when you do that, the problem becomes you're not going to have any depth, because then the depth is, let's just talk about the starting five. I'm just kind of talking out with you guys. At that point, the depth becomes Luca at the 2 or at the 1, Bradley Beal at the 2. Then you put Josh Richardson at the 3, Porzingis and Maxey as your 4-5 combo. And then off the bench, you're really light. You are really, really scarce. You have Tyrell Terry. You got Tyler Bay, Nate Hinton, Trey Burke, Dwight Powell. Who else am I missing? Boban, obviously, is another one. If you guys can think of anybody that I'm missing, but that's only 11 guys. So then you're going to have to go out and get guys. I mean, you get really, really light on the depth, and that's where I start to worry a little bit, is if you're going to give that much up. Willie Cauley-Stein, of course, that's another one that you still have in there. But if it's for Bradley Beal, I think you got to pull the trigger. As long as it doesn't require putting in Porzingis, and James Johnson, that's another one that would be in the depth. So I guess that makes it look a little bit better. But if Bradley Beal is on the table and the Wizards say yes to almost anything that doesn't include Kristaps Porzingis, you might have to do it, if you're Dallas. Because if your starting 5 has Beal, Luca, and Porzingis, that's pretty darn good. But the problem is, and actually my friend Wamik Ali just said this, Washington would want Kristaps Porzingis. They're not going to trade Bradley Beal for anything less than an all-star or a superstar level player. And if you trade Porzingis, you're also going to have to add in something else, like draft picks and probably a role player, maybe a Jalen Brunson in that as well. So I just don't think it's going to happen unless you are able to do it without Porzingis being involved in the trade. And I just don't think that's going to happen. Also, we've heard multiple reports at this point that Washington is not looking to trade Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal is not trying to get a trade right now, which is mind-boggling to me, because if I were Bradley Beal, I would want the heck out of Washington, because they can't seem to put a good team around him, and Russell Westbrook is just not the same player that he once was. So that's kind of my take on Bradley Beal, Victor Oladipo. Not really a whole lot that you didn't already know, but I am planning on doing an entire video on the Bradley Beal stuff, because it seems like we're getting closer and closer to Bradley Beal actually requesting a trade. I just don't know what it's going to take. So some people have sent in super chats. If you haven't already, go ahead and get your super chats in, because whoever sends a super chat, wherever those are coming from, those will be the first questions that I read on this live Q&A that I'm about to jump into. But before I get into the live Q&A, let's do it again, because I've got now 180 people watching, only 45 likes. I think we can get that up to at least 75 before I start this Q&A. But let me know where you guys are watching from, because I always like to see there's people from all across the world watching these live streams, and I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. So go ahead and shout out where you're watching from. I'll give a few shout outs, and then we'll get into some live Q&A before we wrap it up here on the live All Things Mavs show. I appreciate you guys that are tuning in. Really, it means the world to me that you literally choose to sit here on a Friday afternoon and watch me talk about basketball. It's honestly just crazy to me. But shout out where you're watching from. I'll give you some shout outs. Also, if you want to be in the live Q&A, send me a super chat. That will guarantee I answer your questions. If you don't send a super chat, I'll still try to get to it, but no guarantees unless you do send that super. All right. Gents is watching from Latvia. Big Play Slay, my guy, is watching from Syracuse. Oscar from Mexico City. Omar is from Garland. Post 2 points from the UK. I see Tomas watching from Slovenia. Ethan says I'm watching from Jimmy's room. You're a liar. No, you're not. Johnny says from Weatherford, Texas. Vahid says Bosnia Herzegovina. I probably butchered that, but I appreciate you guys. Jeffrey says Washington State. Durf says Hearst, Texas. Bud says Germany. It's 11 p.m. Bud, appreciate you tuning in. Let's see who else. Jeremy says I'm watching from your house. That's a lie. Dirk says from the Philippines. Ralph from Lebanon. I see Matt from Dallas. Matt, hey, shout out to you watching from Dallas. I'm right here. Durf says I am Jimmy's room. You guys are weird. Nathan from Arlington. Gal from Slovenia. And Michael said Ralph, thumbs up. Hey, shout out to Dallas Mavs with the $25 super chat. Thank you. Hey, you know what that is right there? That's 25 entries to be the winner of the All Things Mavs t-shirt. So what I'm going to do is you send a super chat, depending on the dollar amount that you send, I'll put your name in the generator that many times, and then whoever wins it, whoever gets it, going to get a free t-shirt from me. I'll reach out to you sometime next week, and we'll get that figured out. No guarantee, but hey, 25 chances to win. And also, they sent a question. So let's start off with those super chat questions, because I appreciate you guys that have already sent them in. Also, shout out to Oscar, who sent in his super chat. I think that's $10. I think that's 10 pesos. I'm not sure what that is, but Oscar, appreciate the love. So if you want to be like Oscar, if you want to be like the Dallas Mavs who sent the super chat, if you want to get your name shouted out, if you want your question answered, I will go ahead and do that with a super chat. So let's start off with Timon. Timon sent in the first super chat of the day, I think. Said, greetings from Germany. Thank you, Timon. Tony says, hey, bro, been here since you was with Jet Sports. What would you trade for Beal? So Kai just talked about it, but for Bradley Beal, again, I would trade any role player I could and make it work. I mean, I hate to say it, but for Bradley Beal, for a player of that level, there's not really a guy that I would say no to that's not Porzingis or Luca. Right now, as it currently stands, I would not trade Kristaps Porzingis for Bradley Beal. I want to give him some more time before I just say no. Now, let's say he plays exactly like he's playing right now when we're closer to the trade deadline, then I'll start to listen to offers. But I'm not convinced this is, the full 100% Kristaps Porzingis that we know. So I'll trade any role player and honestly any draft pick. Like if you give up 2025 first round pick, I'm not worried about it. Pick swaps, whatever it takes, I would do it for Bradley Beal. Again, probably going to have to include Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Brunson. Probably going to have to include Josh Green. And I think one of Dorian or Maxi Kleba. I'd honestly rather trade. I don't know who I'd rather trade. I honestly don't know. You guys can let me know who you'd rather trade, Dorian or Maxi, but I'd rather just keep them both if I could. So appreciate that. That was a $4 or a $5 super chat from Tony. Appreciate you, Tony, for the super chat. The other super chat question I got in here, let's see what it was. Dallas Mavs with the $25 super chat says Mavs should get Miles Turner, put him at the 5, KP at the 4. Both can shoot threes, and the defense in the paint will be good. Miles Turner is probably my ideal, more realistic target. Does that make sense? Like Bradley Beal is obviously my dream target, but Miles Turner is a guy that I would die for. I would die to have on this team. Problem is, I don't think Indiana is going to look to trade him. I think Indiana likes him and Sabonis together now because they didn't for a while, and they were honestly about to do the trade with somebody else. They were going to dump Miles Turner, and then it just never happened. And now he's averaging 4 blocks per game. He's leading the lead in blocks per game. So, yeah, I would 100% trade for Miles Turner. I still don't know what it would take. It would probably take Brunson, Josh. They'd probably want to get younger because they're going a little bit younger now with Karis LeVert and Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon. So I'm assuming it would take a Brunson, maybe a Maxi plus Josh Green and a pick. Feels like a lot, but I think I would do it for Miles Turner. I'm not really sure. All right, so I think that is all the super chats that I've gotten so far today. If I'm missing any, let me know. But if you want to send in your super chats and get your questions answered on screen, go ahead and do so now. If not, I'll go ahead and do the other questions that I'm seeing in the chat right now, as many as I can get to as of right now. I see Samuel coming in and says, do you think the Mavs need a new head coach? So this is the question that more people are asking than I thought humanly possible. Do I think the Mavs need a new head coach? The answer is no, because a good head coach is so hard to find. It is close to, it is so difficult to find a good head coach. And I know we may not agree with everything Rick does, but he is a good, high-quality head coach. Look at some of these other teams that have just constantly been on this carousel of coaches, like teams like Cleveland, teams even the Warriors before Steph Curry got in there. They had Mike Brown, and then they just tossed him out. Phoenix took forever before they got to Monty Williams. The 76ers are now going from Brett Brown, who they thought was their coach of the future, to Doc Rivers. I'm just not doing it. There is no way that I'm going to fire Rick Carlisle and just take a swing. Who would you get? That's the thing. You have to – more questions are asked when you fire Rick than are answered. So, no, I'm not looking for a new head coach anytime soon. Andrew with the $2 super chat says, will the Mavs make a trade by the deadline? And if so, who? Andrew, I do think the Mavs are going to make some kind of trade. I'm not going to say it's going to be a Bradley Beal trade. I don't even think it would be a Zach LaVine level trade. I think those are a little unrealistic as of right now. But I do think that a trade is going to get done. I think it'll be another role player. Maybe it's, a draft pick. Maybe it's just freeing up some cap space. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but I do think Dallas will make some kind of trade. Now, I'm keeping my fingers crossed it's for a guy of Oladipo or Levine or Bradley Beal's caliber. But I just don't know if it's going to be. So I'm going to say yes, but not really sure. Also, Andrew, that's a $2 entry for you. I think you actually sent a super chat in earlier. So that's a couple entries now for you for the All Things Mavs t-shirt. Again, if you want to be like Andrew, if you want to be like Dallas Mavs and be entered into the contest to get an All Things Mavs t-shirt for free, well, not for free, sending in a super chat, go ahead and send those in today. Samuel says, do you think the Jazz or no? Yeah, Samuel said. Samuel already answered one of your questions. Jeffrey says, how do you feel about Quinn Snyder? I really like Quinn Snyder, but he's currently the head coach of the Jazz. I think he's done a great job. I think he looks like a Marvel supervillain, but I think he's done a great job, and I really like him. I don't think Dallas is going to be able to steal him away from Utah. Tucker says, Zach LaVine trade target. I really like him. He seems like there's turmoil up in Chicago. Look, Zach LaVine would be ideal, right? Like I would love LaVine. I think he's a little bit more realistic than like a Victor or than a Bradley Beal. I would love him on this team. I think I've seen a lot of back and forth from Mavs fans, but like after watching what he's done in Chicago this year, I don't think there should be any back and forth. I think he should 100% be a target for the Mavs, but I don't think Chicago's going to trade him. I don't think they're trying to trade him. I know there's probably turmoil, but I don't think that includes Zach LaVine getting traded anytime soon, unless it's for a really high draft pick, which the Mavs just don't have to offer. Let's see. Ryan says, should the Mavs go for Lonzo and JJ Redick? I mean, if you're going to trade, you're only going to be able to trade for one or the other if you're the Mavs, because I don't think they have the depth to be able to trade for both. I think it's a little unrealistic to try to trade both for Lonzo and for JJ Redick. Maybe one or the other. And you know what? Originally, I said JJ Redick would be my ideal target, but he's been shooting really poorly from beyond the three-point arc. I think this might be the year that we've finally seen the decline of JJ Redick from his shooting form. And then Lonzo Ball. The thing with Lonzo is it's kind of like Victor Oladipo, right? Like I like Lonzo, and I think he'd be a good fit on this team for defensive purposes, but he's not a guy that I'm going to give up assets for because he's going to be a free agent in 2021 this summer. Like there's no reason to give up assets for a guy that you know is going to become available unless you know that he's going to resign. And also the thing with giving up assets for Lonzo is that it's another guy that you think might be able to shoot the ball well, not guaranteed to shoot the ball well. And it's just another guy that, hey, if he can't shoot, how valuable is he on the offensive end? Let's see. Andrew Forrest says, is it worth looking at the European League for some players? Always. The EuroLeague is honestly incredible. I mean, they pump out players on a regular basis. I just don't think it is, right in the middle of the season, maybe in the off season. Steph says, that's not a question. Waldo says, would you trade Luca and KP for KD and Clay? No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. KD coming off an Achilles injury, Clay coming off an Achilles and an ACL injury. I think that'd be ridiculous. I would take KD or I would take KP over Klay Thompson at this point. I would definitely take Luka over Klay Thompson. And KD and Luka are kind of at that same level right now, but Luka is going to be better in the future. So, no, I'm not taking that trade. Ethan says, who wins today? Mavs, Jazz play tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. It's a late tip-off. But you know what? I'm playing optimistic Mavs fan, and I think this is going to be a bounce-back game. I think that might have been the kick in the butt that the Mavs needed to really get going. And if they win, hey, imagine the feelings that we'll have around the Mavs after that game. It's going to be a completely different vibe. Look, the Jazz have to lose eventually. They're on a 10-game win streak. Somebody's got to beat them. Why not us? Why not us? Vonix says THJ and Willie for DeJounte Murray. Spurs say no. DeJounte Murray is much better than that. I love DeJounte Murray. He's a guy that I would die to have on this Maverick team defensively. And he's honestly looked pretty good offensively as well. But at the end of the day, like, the Spurs don't want Tim Hardaway Jr., and the Spurs don't really want Willie Cauley-Stein either. So I think the Spurs say a no on that one. Samuel's a Jazz fan. Oh, Samuel's a Jazz fan? Yikes. What are you doing here? Wamik says, will you reach panic mode if they lose? Not to the Jazz. Like the Jazz are on an 11-game win streak. Like there is a reason. There is a very real reason that they're on, or a 10-game win streak, I should say. It would be 11 if they ended up winning tonight against the Mavs. But there's a reason they're that good. And so anybody that's panicking about the Jazz, like I think that's unrealistic because they're that good. Like, and there's a reason they're good. Now I know there's no Victor Oladipo, or no, Donovan Mitchell. But this team's good regardless. Conley can burn you. Bojan Bogdanovic can burn you. Joe Ingles can burn you. Rudy Gobert obviously can burn you. So that's my take on it. I'm going to say no. I'm not gonna hit the panic mode if they lose to the Jazz. By the way, reminder again, if you're just now tuning in, first of all, hit that like button. Let's get to 100 likes. Why not? Second of all, if you want to guarantee your question gets answered on the stream, go ahead and send me a super chat. I've already gotten super chats from Andrew, Dallas Mavs, Oscar, Tony, Timon, Arvind, Andrew again, and then Chad Stein was the first one with the $5 super chat. That also, however many dollars you send, let's say you send $3, that gives you 3 entries to get a free All Things Mavs t-shirt from me. So go ahead, send those in. If you don't want to, that's fine too. You don't have to. Jericho says Drummond or Capella. I'm going to say Capella. Capella's been on a tear this year for the Hawks. I don't think they're going to look to trade him. Maybe they will. But I would say Capella. I'm not really a fan of Andre Drummond. I think he's just one of those guys that just puts up big numbers and doesn't really ever win games for you. He also can't play in the clutch. Like, the Cavs literally sit him when they get into crunch time. So I'll take Clint Capella. Let's go to Edgar. Says, is someone getting traded? I don't know. Probably at some point. Waldo says, would you trade KP and Maxey for Anthony Davis? Yes, I would. Anthony Davis is like top 5 in the NBA. So, yeah, I would. Jeffrey says, how far are the Jazz going to make it in the playoffs? Ooh, Jeffrey, good question. I mean, this is the Mavs stream, so if you're a Jazz fan, maybe I need to make an All Things Jazz page. But I'm going to say Utah gets to the second round this year. I think this is the year they finally get to the second round, but then they'll get bounced. And hopefully it's by Dallas. I'm not sure. Amar with the super chat. Amar Hussein, appreciate you. $1 super chat. That means a lot. Thank you so much. You guys do not have to send those, but it really means the world when you do. It also guarantees that you get your question answered. You get a live shout out from me, and you get entered to win the All Things Mavs t-shirt. All right, Julian says Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, Jalen Brunson, and future picks for Beale. So if you weren't tuned in earlier to the stream, I threw out my best case scenario. First of all, I think the Wizards say no to that one. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dwight Powell, I don't think they have any interest in. So for the Mavs, I think they send Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Green, Jalen Brunson, and a first-round pick. It seems like a lot, and it probably is a lot, but Bradley Beal is worth a lot. So, no, I just don't think it's going to happen. Jimma with a super chat says, D-Rose opinions. So, Jimma, that is, what is that, €3? I'm not really sure what that sign is. I said German dollars earlier. It's obviously not called German dollars, so I think they're euros. But €3, that's 3 entries to win the t-shirt, so appreciate you, Jimma. D-Rose opinions. Great, past his prime. Not a fit on the Mavericks. He's kind of one of those guys that could be a backup creator or a secondary creator, but too old for the Mavs. Another guy that I'm not giving up assets for. If the Mavs have any interest, I think he's a free agent this year. And if they want to go for him then sure, maybe. Also, Dallas Mavs says it's euros. Thanks. Ryan says, what are your thoughts on the rookies so far? Good question. Tyler Bay, I think, should get more minutes, but I don't think he's going to this year. I just think that's the case unless there's more injuries or more COVID problems. Nate Hinton was a lot of fun in the preseason. He's got a good-looking shot. He made a bucket last game, I think, against Utah, and made a corner 3. I love that shot from him. I love that he's aggressive. He's a good player. I'm not sure he's going to be on the roster past this year, but I like him. And then Tyrell Terry and Josh Green. Those were obviously the 2 that got the most hyped up. Tyrell Terry is going to be a guy that I promise you in the next 3 years will be in the rotation. This year, he's just not. He's just too small, and I don't think his shot is confident yet. Or he's confident in his shot yet. And then Josh Green is a guy that, again, I think should have been in the rotation against Utah. I think they should have given him a chance to defend Jordan Clarkson, but they didn't. I like Josh Green a lot. I think he will, again, he's a guy that has all of the tools to be a 10 to 15-year veteran in the NBA. It's just going to take a little time. He's 20 years old, so let's be patient. That Arab 50 says, what position do you think the Mavericks should get? Ooh, good question. I know it's not a position, but they need shooting. Like, I know we need big men, but when Maxi Kleber comes back, that'll be a little bit answered. They got to have better shooters. They need to find a better shooter. And if that's Bradley Beal, great. If that's Zach LaVine, great. If that's some bench player, incredible. Just give me more shooters around Luka Doncic. Lucas Vito says, what about Jeremy Grant? Jeremy Grant's a great player, but Detroit's not trading him. He went to Detroit for a reason. He chose Detroit because these are his words, not mine. He chose Detroit because I think they're the first team in the NBA to have basically an all-black staff. They had a black coach, African-American coach, African-American owner, and I think an African-American GM as well. And he wanted to do that during all the racial tension that was going on. And good for him. I don't think he's going to leave Detroit because of that reason. Andy says, are you worried about KP's shooting struggles? Not at all. We kind of saw this last year where it took a little bit to get Kristaps Porzingis acclimated and get his feet and his legs back under him. It takes a little bit of time. And you just got to be patient. And I think that's all going to come around. So, no, I'm not really worried. So I was going to make this live stream 30 minutes, but now we're up to 30 minutes and 25 seconds, and I'm kind of thinking I might go until 4:40. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Should I go 10 more minutes? Yes, no. If I see enough yeses in the chat, I'll keep going a little bit longer. Should I go 10 more minutes? Let me know. Also, let's shout out these guys that are doing super chats already. Chad had a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Chad. Andrew, Arvin, Timon, Tony, Oscar, Dallas Mavs, Andrew Cause, Amar, and Gemma all had super chats. Each of them is entered to win the All Things Mavs t-shirt, and I answered their question live on air. And also, Chad Stein in here with another super chat says Andre Drummond. By the way, I'm seeing enough yeses in the chat, so I'll do a few more minutes of Q&A for you guys. Chad with a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Chad. Says Andre Drummond. Guys, the answer is no. Look, Drummond's a big body. He can get rebounds. He's not a great defender, and he can't shoot, from the free throw line. So does he give you more rebounds? Yeah, of course he does. But at the end of the day, if you trade for a big man like Drummond, you don't have a guy you can play in the clutch. And that's what matters, is that you have to be able to play somebody in the clutch. And Cleveland, literally right now, they sit Andre Drummond in crunch time. When it gets down to 5 minutes and it's close to a 2-point game or a 5-point game, they don't play Andre Drummond because they can't keep him on the floor. So, Chad, I appreciate your super chat. Also, you now have 15 entries in to win the t-shirt. But, Chad, I'm not trading for Andre Drummond. Also, another guy's going to be a free agent, not giving up the assets. And then Angel said, wow, voice crack. Oh, my gosh. Angel said Andre Drummond's getting bought out. They think he might. Like, the Nets think he might. I don't think he's going to. If he does, yes. If Drummond gets bought out, I will absolutely 100% take him on the Mavs. But if it's giving up assets for Drummond, I'm not going to do it. Omar says, what's the buyout market looking like? Oh, right in time. Do you think the Mavs are going to be interested in anyone? I think the Mavs are always interested in the buyout market. I don't know who's going to get bought out this year. That's such a good question. I don't think we're close enough to really know that answer. I do think Drummond will be one of those guys, and maybe Dallas is interested if he's bought out. But hopefully there's some shooters that get bought out, and Dallas can go pick one of them up. Amar with the super chat. Appreciate you, Amar, with the $2 super chat. That's 2 entries now to win the All Things Mavs shirt. Says, favorite all-time player besides Dirk? Love you, Jimmy. Oh, good question. I mean, Luka's going to be there eventually. Right now, he's not there because, he hasn't been around long enough to be an all-time favorite player. But, man, I loved watching Allen Iverson growing up. Allen Iverson was a guy that I would always turn my TV on for. I loved Cleveland LeBron. I don't love Cleveland LeBron anymore. Other than him and Iverson, Michael Jordan's great, but I didn't really get to watch him, so I don't think I can put him in my all-time favorite. Let's see. I'll say Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson's probably up there. I also really like watching Shaq. I used to like watching Shaq a lot. Yeah, that's probably my answer. I'll say AI. I've got his jersey. Love him. I also really like Marcus Smart because I went to Oklahoma State, but that's that. Anyway. So Timo, I think it's Timo, says, by the way, my name is Timon, haha, but I appreciate your content. Hey, thank you so much. That's another super chat from Timo with €5. So that's 5 entries now to win the t-shirt. Appreciate you. Landon says, what do you think about acquiring Julius Randle? I know I wanted him in the offseason. So Julius Randle, actually, we went to high school together. So I've always been very biased toward Julius Randle. I've always wanted him on the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think there's any way the Mavs are going to be able to get him. The Knicks love him, and he's been incredible this year. I don't think he's a free agent this year either. So, unfortunately, I just don't think he's ever going to be a Maverick, but I would love for him to come back to Dallas and be able to play in a Maverick uniform. NBA Talk says, how are you even authority? No Michael Jordan because you haven't seen him play? Okay, NBA Talk. Here's the thing. Yeah, Michael Jordan is definitely up there, okay? I'm not saying I don't like Michael Jordan. I'm just saying I'm not going to make him an all-time favorite because he's Michael Jordan. I'm just not going to do that. This is my favorites. I'm not saying he's the best. I'm just saying he's not one of my favorites because I didn't watch him play. I didn't grow up watching him play, so I'm not going to make him one of my favorites. Vonick says, should James Johnson start over Dorian Finney-Smith? No, not regularly. But if you mean against Utah, that could actually make some sense. I don't think they're going to do it because you still have to have somebody that can chase around Joe Ingles or Bojan Bogdanovic. And if you put James Johnson in there, you might have some problems. So I wouldn't hate it against Utah, but I don't think that should be the case. Steven says, your favorite free agent target this offseason, Victor Oladipo. I don't know how realistic it is. I think he's going to Miami, unfortunately, but I would take him. Tucker says, yo, my friend at OSU, what do you think of Kade Cunningham? Hey, big Oklahoma State fan. Obviously, graduated from there in the fall or in the summer, I guess. Spring, whatever. Anyway, Kade Cunningham's the man. He should absolutely 100% be the number one pick in this draft. I wish he was healthy right now. I think he's dealing with some COVID stuff, and that's keeping him out. But, man, that kid is special. Carson says, hey, Prestonwood, shout out to Prestonwood. That was my high school. Graduated there. Samuel says, Jimmy, did you vote for the NBA MVP voting? I think you mean All-Stars. Yes, I have voted. And if you haven't voted yet, you can go on Twitter and use hashtag NBA vote and then put Luka Doncic or Kristaps Porzingis' name. And you can also go online to NBA.com and vote as well. I'll do a video on how to vote because it would make it really easy for you guys. Angel says, Beal's going to Miami for Hero and a lot more. If Miami doesn't trade Tyler Hero for Bradley Beal, I think they are absolutely insane. I like Tyler Hero a lot. I think he's a great player. I was very wrong about him in the draft. I said he was going to be a bust. That was not the case. He's great. But if they don't trade Tyler Hero for Bradley Beal, I think Miami is out of their minds. Mahmoud or Mahmoud, I'm not sure how to say your name, says, what do you think of Laurie Markkanen? I love Laurie Markkanen. The problem is, if you trade for him, you basically just have another version of Porzingis that's not as good of a defender. And where are you gonna put him? Like, do you put him and Porzingis in the starting five together? Then you are really lacking on defense and rebounding. So I like Markkanen. I would take him on this team, but I just don't know if it's realistic. I'll just call you V. V says, what about Vic? Won't take much to trade for him, and it could increase the chances to sign with the Mavs in 2021. So talked about this earlier. The thing with Oladipo is I don't think Houston's going to take that. Houston's not going to make a deal with Dallas. That's just something I don't see them doing. And also, if you're Dallas and if you think you have a chance at him in 2021, I probably wouldn't give up assets to go out and get him. Big Texas Titan says, what stats does Luca drop tonight? I'm going to call a triple-double from Luca. He kind of had a bad game. He had a 30-point game in Utah last game, but we really absolutely need him to be able to pass the ball and rebound better than he did. So I'm going to say 25-point triple-double from Luka Doncic. How about that? Edgar says, who'd you vote for? Luka and Porzingis, of course. I didn't do all the voting. I probably will, but I haven't done that yet. CJ says, JaVale McGee. God, I wish we never traded. I got rid of him. I would have loved to have him back. Emilio says, Kyle Lowry. I don't know if the Raptors want to, but expiring contract. I would trade for Kyle Lowry. I think Lowry would be a great fit in Dallas. He'd be a great culture fit, and he's such a good shooter. I would absolutely take him in Dallas. He's also a good defender, and I think all those things combined would make him pretty valuable to this team. I don't know what Dallas would want, or what Toronto would want, but I would do it. Landon says, if the Knicks wanted to get rid of Dennis Smith Jr., would you be against signing him cheap? No, I would love Dennis Smith Jr. back. I just don't think he wants to come back. That's the problem. All right, so I got about a minute left on here. So before I get out of here, I want to remind everyone, for those of you that have already sent in Super Chats, you have all entered to win the All Things Mavs t-shirt for free. But, send in the Super Chats. The more money you send, the more entries you have. Also, if you send in a Super Chat here in the last couple minutes, I will answer your questions. But unfortunately, I can't get to every single one that doesn't send one because I just don't see them all. They're kind of coming through a little too quickly. But appreciate you guys tuning into this live stream. It means the world to me that y'all are sitting down on a Friday afternoon or a Friday night if you're over in Europe, or a Friday morning if you're, somewhere else in the world. It really means the world that you're able to watch with me and able to answer or ask some questions. So appreciate all you guys. I'm just going to give some quick shout outs to everybody that I'm seeing in the chat right now. Samuel, Waldo, Steven, Edgar's, Dallas Mavs. I see you. Kenneth, Angel, Ethan, Wamik, Kai Sid, Landon, Emilio, Lucia, Edgar's, Richard, Sebastian, VK, Muhammad, Big Texas Titan, CJ 850, Carson, Omar, Onmar, and Ujosh and Reed and Charlie and Vonix. I see all you guys in the live chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully I'll have another live stream for you guys sometime in the middle of sometime next week, but I will definitely have it on Friday. Appreciate all you guys tuning in to All Things Mavs. Post-game show tonight after the game. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I don't think we're at 1,000 subscribers. Actually, you know what? Let's check real fast before I get out of here. I don't think I hit it in this live stream, but maybe I got close. So I'm at 2,965 subscribers, almost 3,000. When I do get to 3,000, I will give a free t-shirt away, but also going to do the raffle for the t-shirt for the people that send in super chats on today's live stream. So thank you guys for watching All Things Mavs. And as always, go Mavs, baby.